It's overcast today, so I wanted to just give a quick tour of what's going on in my garden. Starting here, I have some snapdragons that were, I believe, the Tequila Sunrise mix from Baker Creek seeds. I've had these for a couple years now. I was shocked that they germinated, but they're looking really nice. Some of them are more pink, some are more yellow. You can see my drip irrigation in this bed. Next up, I have a row of 3 limelight hydrangeas. The 2 on the ends were planted earlier. I planted those last fall. And then this one in the middle is a later addition, but hopefully we'll catch up soon. There's a couple of hostas still in here that I need to move, along with some bupleurum that is just fighting along. It's too warm for it at this point, but I'm hoping that it'll still get a little bit long enough for me to use in some arrangements. We'll see. Next year I'm going to try to direct sow this or sow it in seed trays before the winter so that I can do the cool flowers method and hopefully it'll overwinter for me. We'll see. If not, I want to get it in the ground sooner. One of the struggles I had this year was just the wind and the rain, so it was difficult for me to harden things off that liked the cold, and then we went straight to summer, so I didn't get things in the ground as soon as I wanted to. You can see this Colorado mix yarrow is looking really lovely. It's starting to flop a little bit, so I'll just cut up those limbs as well, and this is one that reblooms for me, and the pollinators just love this. Next to that, I have this white columbine that is starting to go to seed. You can see that these pods are kind of brown and that they're losing seeds as well. If you can see these seeds falling into my hand, I have a ton of columbine seeds happening. We'll see how they do self-seeding. I'm hopeful that this one will spread around the garden. And then you can see more of the Colorado yarrow mix. This one is also a pinkish color, followed by a hydrangea, I think these are forget-me-nots, so I'll look up what I planted here, and then also some more bupleurum. Here's a hydrangea that did not make it from our cold snap this spring. And then one more hydrangea here, followed by some hostas, my viburnum. Now, I'm not sure, I'm new to viburnum. I don't know if it always changes leaf color in the summer, but these new leaves are really beautiful, and it already bloomed white, and then you can see that there's also berries on it. So I have these on either side of my porch. And my hostas are starting to bloom, which is fun. And I don't know what's going on with this arborvitae, if he's not getting enough water or what. It's been a very wet spring, so I wouldn't think that would be the problem, but I'll show you the one on the other side, and you can see that that one is just not doing well. This sedum has completely flopped, and again, I think it's just because we've gotten so much water, it is not loving that, but this is the goal for the arborvitaes. They're supposed to get about 5 feet tall and about 3 feet across, so hopefully they'll fill in this area nicely. You can see I've got some more yarrow tucked back in there, and then these daylilies are really showing off at this point, looking really nice in the garden. This here is a euonymus, some lamb's ear here in the bottom, and we did get quite a bit of hail when there was tornadoes in our area the other day, so lots of my broadleafed plants have rips and tears, holes in the leaves, but so be it. Everything was safe here, so that's okay with me. You can see that this low growing sedum is also blooming. I really like the yellow blooms of that, and the hostas are really filling in. My purple salvia is looking really nice. You can see that this upright sedum got a lot of hail damage. It really is looking not very great, but again, everyone was safe, so it's okay with me that my garden took some damage. These purple phlox will bloom here soon. I'm looking forward to that. I'm pretty impressed because my purple barberries in the back have probably doubled in size already since last year, and that's super exciting to me. I don't even know what this is. I tried to order drumstick alliums from Breck's Bulbs, and I ended up with some drumsticks. These are drumsticks. And then some random, I don't know, Like I said, I don't know what this is. I cannot imagine that I ordered this on purpose. But it's here in the garden. And weirdly, I've seen some other people have drumstick alliums that look just like nice and grassy at the bottom. These are not that way. It looks like I'm growing straight up onions in my garden. So I do not love these, but the blooms are cool. They'll get kind of purpley. I'll show you guys when they're completely bloomed out. Down at the bottom here, I have some oregano that I grew from seed this season, and it's really coming up nicely. I went ahead and transplanted it out a couple weeks ago, and it's already growing well, so that's exciting. You can see that this Monarda or bee balm has really bad powdery mildew, and that's why I've cut down a lot of it. I actually used it for vase arrangements with my peonies, and you can see that what's been cut back is starting to flush back up, and it is looking a whole lot better. I think it's just the combination of how thick it was and then just the humidity in our area. And this is a native variety which doesn't have as much resistance to powdery mildew as some of the other more cultivated varieties, so that's something to consider. But like I said, I'm just trimming it down as it gets crazy and as it gets mildew. I'll probably cut it almost all the way back and let it flush back out. For some reason, this is the only one of my red twig dogwoods that is blooming, but you can see this, I don't know, maybe wasp or something that is pollinating it, which is really cool. It's got almost like iridescent blue wings. I don't know if y'all can see that. Pretty cool. I'll have to look that up later and see what that's called. But this has been in bloom for a couple weeks. It's just starting to die back. My yarrow over here is not as early as my other yarrow on the side. I don't know if that's because it gets less sun or what, but this is another pink one. And all my yarrow was started from seed. These are looking really nice. I'm really excited about how much they've grown. They're filling in this area nicely. You can see that my verbascum got beat down in the storm, but I'm just gonna let it do its thing. Hopefully it'll reseed some. There's already a couple new baby plants from last year that have reseeded. My hollyhocks were super tall right here, but they got beat down as well. But I do see some blooms. I'll take you guys closer in on those. And you can see that the other yarrow growing here looks like it'll be a white color or cream. I'll let you guys know when that fills out. Oh, here's a sad hollyhock that would have been beautiful, but is just completely laid over from the storm. You can see that my black-eyed Susans or Rudbeckia are starting to fill in here. There's some in the middle here, there's some on this side, so those will be really lovely. And I still have not taken care of this little bush that I took out, but I do have my arborvitae in its place, so that's looking much better than that dead bush. You can see that this smaller sedum, the smaller leaves, fared a lot better with the hail than the more broadleaf, bigger leaved sedum. And this has been kind of interesting to me. These are some calendula from, I think it's Happy Day mix, I'll look it up, from Baker Creek that I planted last year, and I just kind of let them go. I didn't think that they would reseed or come back. Calendula is kind of iffy in our zone, but you can see that it has reseeded itself. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them maybe, which is really cool, and I'm really enjoying these blooms. I did not anticipate these being here, but I think it's quite a cool combination with this purple Nepeta. I also put some chives in here next to this Nepeta, which will have the same purple colored blooms, but they'll add a grassy texture, and then I'll be able to use them also in recipes and things. They're edible, so that's the goal with those. And you can see where these wood shavings are. I planted another peony bare root, and then I planted that one in here just a couple weeks ago. That one's new this year as well. There's about 20 peonies throughout this garden space. And let me come in here so you guys can see. Here's another euonymus. I was moving my other one and part broke off, and I went ahead and transplanted it over here. My purple smoke bush has been super weird. It had 3 stems that were like 9 feet tall. So I'm cutting it back little by little, using the stems in arrangements so that it'll be at ground level. And hopefully they will continue to grow from the bottom so it's not so leggy. It was very whimsical, very Dr. Seussy, but that is not my goal. You can see that these purple coneflowers, I think they're purple, maybe white. I have a mix in here. They're coming back and starting to grow. And for some reason, this one right here is not doing as well. But you can see right there, and let's see, right here, that they self-seeded. So I'm excited about that, to have more cone flowers. Here is my milkweed or butterfly bush. This is just a white variety. It's also native in my area. I got it bare root, and it looks beautiful right now with its long stems, and I even use it in arrangements when I can. But you'll see later in the season that this is just absolutely covered with aphids and caterpillars, and that's okay with me. I like to use it. It's okay to sacrifice this plant for me so that other things can grow and thrive. So it's kind of a trap crop almost. And then there's another bee balm here, and I think this one is orange or purple. It's clearly not as big as the other one. I also have some roses in here that are supposed to be about 3 feet tall, but they're going to be really lovely with this nepeta once they get going. The garden cat is pretending that he's in a jungle. He's trying to help me out today. Let's zoom in on these hollyhocks so you can see them before we go. Isn't that pretty? I grew these from seed actually when I lived in the RV. So I've had this plant for a little while, and the blooms are just gorgeous. And imagine, if you will, that it was like probably 3.5 feet tall, and this other long stalk was even taller. So we'll see if these ones that made it, if they bloom. You can see that it's really fallen down in the storm, and the leaves are really tattered from the storm, but the blooms are sure pretty. I'm hopeful that this will make it out of it, and I probably need to go ahead and cut down some of the extra stems. Anyway, that's a bit of a garden update with what's going on after the storm, and also it just gives you an idea of how the garden is looking at this point at the end of May, and what's growing, what's blooming, and what's looking nice. Thanks so much for growing along with me. I'll see you guys in the next one.